want to have a podcast. I want to tell the truth.
Welcome back to Biracial and Bitchy, a show about holding multiple identities and reconciling them into one strong sense of self. And now your host, 𝗕𝗶𝗿𝗃.
𝗕𝗶𝗁, welcome back, or welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about everything that I have done to my face. We're going to be talking about plastic surgery, fillers, hair removal, and so much more. I'm going to go through their list pretty quickly, and if you want to hear in depth about any of the individual things, I would be more than happy to yap about it. Please comment down below. Let me yap again. I've always wanted to make this video, and I think it's slow down. I've always wanted to make this video, and I think it's important, and especially as a person who is half brown, I'm half Indian, there's this very big expectation as a South Asian woman to be perfect, to be meek, to be well-behaved. And I think me speaking out and tackling these beauty standards and telling you what I've lived through, what I've learned, and kind of recommending these things to you as if you were my own biracial and bitchy daughter. I'm gonna be rating everything out of 10s. I'm gonna list them in the description if you just want the ratings, and then I'm gonna add a little fluff behind it, and hopefully this will be a quick, zippy little episode, and you'll get to know me more. And now when you look at my face, you can see all the lies and insecurities. And now I'm posting them on the internet for everybody so that maybe you don't make the mistakes that I did and hate yourself for as long as I did. Or still do. Okay, I'm so nervous. I think it's really important that we talk about this because I think a lot of people will just come up to me or talk to me and be like, "You're so beautiful." And I'm always like, I do things to stay and maintain and enhance my own beauty. A lot of them I think is just trash and garbage and a waste of money and can just be kind of tackled by like reprioritizing things. But I'm just like, I am a Taurus girly. I'm a Taurus rising. I love to decorate. Beauty is a huge special interest of mine. I think no matter what I've done on the internet, I've talked about beauty, and I've always wanted to talk about this because I just think it's very fascinating to be a woman in today's society, and also to have grown up during the 90s when I did, and being exposed to that certain beauty standard and then growing up and kind of finding my own, surrounding myself with more people who look like me, consuming more content of people who look like me has just been the best. And I think me talking about this stuff might be a really cool, honest perspective where I can just level with you, and let's go through it. First, I'm so nervous to even talk about this because I don't think a lot of people even know about this, but I would have to say, number one on my list is that I have had a RhinoSeptoplasty, which is like a nose job combined with a breathing surgery. And I rate it probably an 8 out of 10. A RhinoSeptoplasty is basically a nose job combined with a septum, which is the middle of your nose straightening surgery. I would love to talk more in depth about it. I vlogged it, never posted it on the internet. I didn't want to ruin my brand. Just kidding, I'm just a mess and I never edited it. This is probably the one I have the most complicated relationship with because I kind of liked my nose either way. All I had done was take out a little bump. We left everything structurally the same. So my nose is like also grown since I first got it done when I was younger. I think the weirdest part about getting anything done, especially your nose, is that your nose is just one of the most prominent features of your face. And then you wake up and your nose is completely different. And for me, I had this huge added benefit of breathing. So I think the dysmorphia of like seeing my face be completely different was not as mind-bending, but I know so many people who will go and have revision after revision just because, like, honestly, your nose is just a weird thing. It's in the middle of your face. Like, no one's nose is perfect. And now I'm seeing, especially on TikTok, like the younger generation embrace different kinds of noses, and seeing it through their eyes, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have had the cosmetic done. I had some really bad health problems, and I was like, can you make it a little more Disney princess? They all try to convince me not to, and I wouldn't take no for an answer. As you can see, I can talk about that for ages, but I do miss my old nose sometimes. I try not to think about it too much because what you look like is so tiny, tiny. And I can breathe out of my nose, and I couldn't before. And that has been life-changing, especially for sleep. I had such bad sleep apnea. Moving on. The second thing I've had done to my face that I would like to rate is filler. Probably one of the most controversial things. I would like to clarify, my lips are my own lips. I get people asking me that a lot. I'm just really good at overlining them. And my dad looks like this, so I'm gonna have lips. I would have to probably rate filler a 5. What I could say about filler is that it's kind of meh. It doesn't do, especially as a person who went from like a surgery that really just shapes your face in whatever way you want. Filler is like, I have had filler only in the hollows of my under eyes. I don't know if you can even see because the lighting is just gorge in here. I have a little bit of a hollow underneath my under eye. This inner tear trough part was pretty meh. What I loved and what I'm giving points for is the part on the outer eye that she filled really made me look, and it was so little. I don't think we even used a full syringe. I wrote down here, it's probably migrated into an artery in my brain, but alas, here I am. I think filler is so great to refill small losses. I think especially as you age from your 20s to your 30s, you just see so much hollowing out of your temples and the sides of your face. And especially for me, we've just been going through a lot of grief in the last couple years, so my eyes have been crying a lot. I got this filler done right before, not right before, but a couple months before my wedding, because I had just been bawling my eyes out and they were so puffy, and just the constant fluctuation between the puffiness and then them going down. I just had so much, like there was just so much volume loss happening that I really thought it looked great. Almost fainted when it happened because I had convinced myself I was gonna go blind from this filler thing because it was so vain and I couldn't believe I was doing it. But it was fine. It was really just fine. How I would advise you. If you're looking at your face and you're thinking this spot needs a little puffing up, get the filler. If you're thinking, ooh, I could use a little more firmness, like if you're pulling up or if you're, you know, trying to see what you look with like a little cheeky neck lift, you should probably just get the surgery. The filler is just gonna add like volume, especially living in Los Angeles and being an actress and having had like waited in waiting rooms and seen so many people who've just done so much to their face. There is just a face that happens when people just keep filling and refilling their filler. It just like kind of gets puffy. I think it's just from chronic inflammation from like getting these treatments done. There's so many studies that are like, we don't even know if this is dissolving after the time we said it would. I'm saying if you've got like some little dimpling in your cheeks, great. Really love the results it gave for my cheekbones. I already had that structure there to hold the filler in place, and just like putting it like right here made my under eyes look really good. I still have to give it a 5. It's pretty meh. I said you should probably just get a cheeky little neck lift, so yeah. Number 3, Botox. I have had Botox. I would have to give this a 1. I know that's not a very popular opinion, and maybe my mind will change. I had a little bit of Botox in between my eyebrows and then a drop for my upper lip to flip before my wedding. Didn't really see a lot of results, but I couldn't properly eat a salad for at least a week afterwards because I couldn't like pull the lettuce off. It'll really humble you. I also got it in my masseter muscles, which is for TMJ. Love it for pain relief. Hate it for the aesthetics. I looked like a witch about to give a princess a poison apple. It just hollowed me out. Maybe I'll pop a picture up here for everyone who's watching on YouTube. Plug. It just hollowed out my face so much, and I think because I have had some TMJ issues for a very long time, it just changed my face shape. I think a lot of people really like that like super slim look, but I don't. I like a little more fullness. As far as it in the forehead to prevent wrinkles, I already don't have a lot of forehead movement in general. I just am not very expressive in my forehead. When I got it done, it was kind of nice. It felt good. Like it was like it relaxes your face. You feel a lot more like open and wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. But when a man looks at me in the streets of LA like he's about to catcall me, and I can't stare at him like I'm gonna, can't do it. I am born to scowl. I am born to be a bitch. I'm born to be bitchy. I get that people don't really want wrinkles. I kind of like it. I'm realizing as I'm getting older, I'm developing my own taste, and like, really, this is just an avatar that you can customize, and I want mine to have some wrinkles. I want mine to have some crow's feet, and I kind of just think I'll look like a babe anyway. A lot of people wouldn't agree with me, but Botox is a one for me. It's just my personal taste. Speaking of TMJ Botox, my next thing I'm gonna talk about is Invisalign. I just had to acknowledge I've had Invisalign done. I'm not sure if I can rate it yet. I'm still kind of in the trenches, even though I have it taken off. I'm still doing physical therapy to get the other side of my mouth as strong as the problem side. And maybe when I can wrap my head around it, I'll make a video. I'll put it in the description below. But until then, you just have this one. The next thing I've had done to my face would be laser hair removal. My mother, when I got diagnosed with PCOS when I was like very young, some doctor or some online thing had suggested laser hair removal because I had PCOS. And so she researched all these people, especially having darker skin. Honestly, it's a sensory dream. Laser hair removal is a 10 out of 10 for me. If you are able to find someone who can do it safely for your skin. The only time I've ever had hair grow back is if I've had hormonal or stress fluctuations. And even then, it's so much finer than any of my other girlfriends who are as dark as me or who have as thick of hair as me. I love it. I love it. I couldn't rate it enough. Oh, I had it done on basically my sides of my cheeks. We didn't really do my sideburns because I couldn't like them. I wanted to do my sideburns, but my mom was like, when you're older, like, you'll appreciate them. And I do. So we did all this, and then upper lip, which still grows back, you know? I also want to tell you, I also did my body, and I love being a slippery little seal. Like, what can I say? What can I say? I'm hairless, and I was born with no butthole. Okay. That brings me to my next hair removal tool. Sugaring, waxing, done it all, hate it all. I worked for an esthetician in my early 20s who was a specialist in sugaring, and she was incredible at it. And then I've gone to other places and it's just been terrible. It really just feels like a rubber band dragging across your skin. And waxing always just rips off my skin. No matter what I'm doing, just chunks of skin come off. So I'm like a plucking, every so occasion, like a cheeky little lamination girly. Not the one that goes straight up. I always just say laminate in the natural direction of hair growth. And then I get these. I went and got this done especially for you. I've also had lash lifts. All of these things, I'd have to say, especially when it comes to hair removal or any kind of service you get for hair removal, perming, color, it's the person you go to, 1000%. Because lash lifts and brows and waxing and threading and plucking, when you find a good person, you found a good person. And it can be like a 15 out of 10. A couple weeks before my wedding, I used a Groupon on a lash lift, and this woman curled my eyelashes into my lids. So I was so beautiful. I don't think you could even handle it. It was traumatic. Don't do that. Don't try someone new. Don't do a Groupon before your wedding. Next, this is so underrated. Why don't we brown girls talk about it? We don't talk about it enough. And I forget about it. And then every time I remember it, I'm like, this schmangs. Bleaching your facial hair. Sorry, do I just want to look like Mother Nature, Earth? Bleaching your facial hair? I don't know. It's just like something about it. You feel like you look like a magical little nymph. It just, So I use this stuff. It's apparently cruelty-free. Mix up a bit. I have put a dash in my eyebrows and turned them orange for a little bit. No, I'm not gonna show you a picture. Some things are meant to be private. Facial hair bleaching, a 9 out of 10. There's just something amazing about, like, it just makes that peach fuzz that's like, you know, just adds kind of a shadow to your face. I'm a big makeup girly. I'm a Taurus rising, I've told you. Aesthetics, decoration. Decorating the self, it's really nice. It can be irritating to your skin. For that reason, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, but maybe a 9.5, it's so good. I'm gonna give you a little biracial and bitchy perspective that I think maybe not everyone's gonna give you. There are a lot of girlies who are dermaplaning. A lot of girlies who don't look like this are dermaplaning, okay? Okay. I have gotten the worst acne of my life from a dermaplaning incident. Fresh, clean blades. One of the best brands out there. I'm not gonna name them. Some beauty treatments are not for every single person, and this is where ethnicity needs to be taken into account. Your facial hair can be textured, it can be thicker, so then when you have that dermaplane, there's like a lot more tug and force when you can bleach that little stuff into peach fuzz. If you're using like retinols and crazy skin stuff, you can't do it. You can't do the lamination. You can't do all these things. There's just so much more like risk of discoloration. Can I talk about facial hair bleaching anymore? It's just so good. It gets all the peach fuzz that my laser couldn't pick up. You're not like dermaplaning and scratching up your face. I know people will not like that I said that, but I'm gonna say what I said because I wanna protect you. Come for me, fight. Tanning. A brown girl who tans. So I don't actually tan on a normal, regular basis, but when there's a big event coming up, something that I like to coin is the thought of scary pretty. There are times where it can be very beneficial to be scary pretty. And I think your wedding is one of those things. I think I got scary pretty during my wedding. And that is what really makes me want to share this, because beauty is so connected to power. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but tanning is going to get me there. A little light coat, a little light dusting from a really good spray tan artist. Like, you can do stuff at home. I can't do that stuff at home. I can't figure out what y'all are doing. When I look at a white girl on the internet who puts on that foam at home and then she comes back on the screen and she's like the same color as me, I'm like, whoa, whoa. How? The last time I tried to do that was when I was doing ballroom dancing competitively. Swear to God, backs of my legs, totally different color. Ross from Friends. So yeah, getting just a little light dusting professionally from some good people, because I have some olive undertones in my skin. I really like the tans that have a little more green to their undertone, whereas on lighter skin, that can make you look sick. Purple undertones are really nice too. I think that's a really universally flattering tone. And I experimented with all of this because I wanted to get a little dusting before my wedding. Scary pretty wedding. I kind of wish I had gotten it before all of my events, because I really thought I would only want to have it when I was wearing the nice white dress, but I got my period. I was so anemic. I barely looked brown during my mehndi. So now that I no longer have anemia, I'm brown year round. This is my natural skin tone. But yeah, what you're seeing right here, yeah, that's natural. Try living in Southern California. Everyone's like, you're so tan. I'm like, thank you, I'm just ethnic. While we're on the subject of scary pretty, I think that beauty is such a touchy subject, and I think it should just really be talked about more rationally. Something I realized as being an actress in LA, being in the industry, and a girl who's experienced a glow up, you know? There's this really interesting push and pull between beauty. I think I see so many women really struggle with this, especially in our transition to our 30s, because there is this loss of sense of power in a patriarchy. Sorry, I'm gonna get on my soapbox. There is this loss of sense of power in a patriarchy where youth and beautiful, thin women are so highly valued, and as a woman gets more knowledgeable and wiser and more intelligent, the need to grasp on to that ever-losing loop of beauty. Every day you age, society no longer considers you beautiful. And that's where I just really encourage. I talked a lot about taste in this. As I've gotten older, instead of just consuming things, I try to question things, spend more time off of these devices, scrolling TikTok, scrolling Instagram, and really like intentionally consume when I'm on there to like look at the certain creators that I really like what they're doing or find more like them. Is that this consumption culture just pushes women into less power so much. Something started happening to me towards my end of my wedding when my mom was sick and like slowly becoming more and more disabled. And, you know, I'm just becoming more beautiful and more bridal, was that I just realized how much of this beauty stuff, no matter what I was getting done, I was getting so much more beautiful, visually appealing, but I still felt like shiz on the inside. I think there's this huge fallacy that a lot of times where we're not talking about, are we doing a cheeky little nip tuck because mommy deserves it? Or are we filling and nipping and tucking our whole bodies to fit into the standard that we don't even really like? I think I have had to think about it so much, especially as someone who's biracial, who got some features made to look less ethnic. I think it's my obligation to talk about it, especially as someone who wants to be online and help people like me. There is a really deep sadness in getting older and getting more aware of everything. And I think it's this pattern I see with so many women. We're sold the idea that the more beautiful we are, the more likely we are to get the things we want. And then when we do all these things, we have regrets because we did this thing to achieve power instead of to achieve our personal taste and preference. The times where I have really done it, like the little bits of filler here, when I was just needing to feel something, like didn't make me any happier. Like the amount of time that I think about my under eyes now is 0, but at the time I was going through so much, and to focus in on a little area and fix it felt really good. And that could be said of so many of these other things besides these like little maintenance things I do to just, you know, primp and prep. I think that's the biggest difference, is that sometimes we feel so out of control, especially as women, that grasping onto looking prettier and younger and thinner and smaller keeps us so disempowered from doing anything else. With all those ratings for you to take into consideration, to enjoy, to peruse and think, should I get all this stuff done? I have to ask you, sister, should we think and say, are we externalizing all of our emotions right now? What do I mean by this? You know how like some people really like to shop and they just can't stop shopping, and like, I don't know, that purchase and the wearing of the new thing, or the trying of the new makeup, or the using of the new thing. I mean, like, even me, like, you should see me. The serotonin for days. I'm not gonna pretend like all of these things that I didn't make my life easier. I think getting my nose done absolutely got me more parts, made me more successful, especially in the time that I was coming onto the scene. It wasn't that cool to have a bump in your nose. Now it's much more widely accepted. It makes me excited to have a child one day, that I hope they inherit my nose and that they can shove it down the world's face and tell them that they're beautiful just the way they are. I took this love and marriage class. It was like an intro into women's lit, and we talked a lot about the disadvantages of being a woman in society, and especially that our looks and our abilities to have children and be a good wife or server and our amount to sacrifice is often the only thing of value to the general population over our minds and our wants and our dreams. I hate to be the stereotype of the girl who comes from the South and takes like one women's lib and is like, oh, everything I've learned is a lie, but like everything from that point on, every time I try to align myself with like white supremacy, the patriarchy, and all of those things, when I proceed and do with it, because like I'm not a perfect person. I'm not perfect at all. Let's set that straight, okay? I just told you all the shit I did to my face. We know I'm not perfect, but I can buy it perfection. I'm just kidding. I came to a place where I could like actually afford to get these things done. Like my RhinoSeptoplasty was covered when I was still on my parents' insurance. So it wasn't really a financial decision for me. But as I got older, these things were very heavy because like I didn't really make much money when I was trying to be a surviving actor, and then just like started this YouTube thing. The purchasing power and taking this women's lib class, I realized so many things, like weddings, like beauty, so many things are marketed towards women because they want us shopping and buying our purchasing power for little trinkets and taking our money away. And then we have to be dependent on a man because they don't market these things to men, cis, straight, white men. I came to a point in my 30s, especially after my wedding, and I had gotten scary pretty, right? That I just realized how much goddamn time I spent trying to be the prettiest girl in the room. And I was just like, why? why? It was not because I wanted to just be looked at. It was just this like trauma response that if I'm pretty, people think I'm dumb, people think I'm not threatening, and I'm more like the homogenous, perfect woman.
I have no hair or butthole.
To like beauty and to enjoy it, I get it. I really do. Beauty is one of the biggest advantages of all time. It is why it is such a profitable market, and it's fun. You get a little dopamine power. It's like making purchases. It's like shopping. It's even more satisfying because it's your face and you get to wear that 24/7. What an exhilarating dopamine experience. But then, you know, you get that instant gratification and some creeping comes back. You age. You gain weight, your body changes, you have fluctuation, hormonal changes, all these things that come from just having like a very full life. Like we have babies or we birth new businesses, like all of that. We have projects, we have dreams, and our hormones change, our weight fluctuates. We live a life, things that men are allowed to do. And we feel that power slip away when we lose it, when we are less youthful. And being able to just purchase it again and feel that rush is intoxicating. But I also realized me making myself more beautiful, like my little tiny enhancements, every day I get older. And the satisfaction of my looks over building the life that I really like outside of what I look like and outside of beauty is just like kind of amazing. And I think it just comes with getting older. I don't know, it came to a point where I was like, you know what? This is what God gave me, and like, I'm tired of fighting God. I just want to live. And I just wanted you to listen to that because I want you to have that permission to do too. Go live your life. Whether you go and get these things done, even if I advise you to save your money, to build a wall that the patriarchy cannot impede. I'm not perfect. I get it. It's fun to put shit in your face. It's exhilarating. While every day I will probably battle with it in some small way, maybe huge ways some year. I don't know. I'm a human. Everything changes all the time. When I do like my meditations and I am really good about focusing on spirituality, these things kind of do fall away. And as much as I don't know if I don't really believe that there's a higher power, I do believe that focusing more on your spirit leads to a much more fulfilling life, and that at the root of all these religions and these organized theological phenomenons, there really is just the same ideas, is that life is so short and we are only young for such a short amount of time, and it's not our beauty that is lost on our youth, but it's the abilities and the freshness of your body and this like physical avatar that we carry. And when that's over, it's time to start following your dreams. So, I don't know. Put the shit in your face. Don't put the shit in your face. But don't say I didn't tell you the truth. Love you. Bye-bye. Subscribe.
Thank you for listening to Biracial and Bitchy. Be sure to rate us 5 stars because remember, karma is a relaxing thought. And do a bitch a favor. Share this episode with a friend. Bye!